Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Ben Hart Shoots.
Kaplaka!
All right, gentlemen, we made it. Excited about. So yesterday, Smith & Wesson launched the new Smith & Wesson Shield. I believe it's the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield X. So instead of the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, they got rid of the Plus, even though it's the same capacity or greater, and now they're just calling it the X. Basically, the Smith & Wesson Shield X is what the Shield should have been from the very beginning, in my opinion. So I've got my buddy here. He's been in a couple of the videos, but he is, we live in different cities, so we're doing this remote. So hopefully you guys can hear him. But what are your initial thoughts on the Shield X, and also the thoughts on how it was released?
Yeah, so we were talking about that earlier, and there's only like 3 videos showing the new Shield X. 2 of them are posted by like the same guy.
Which he did a good job, the Gat Man, good job.
He did a really good job. Answered a lot of questions, put a lot of work into his video just answering questions. But the Shield X itself, I think from a specs perspective, almost perfect.
Yeah.
Like you said, it fixed a lot of the issues that we saw with the Shield Plus. I never bought one. I did recommend them to some people that were looking for guns, but normally only recommended them to people who I knew weren't going to be shooting them a ton. They wanted an option with a little bit more capacity for carry. That was their price range. And that's kind of where I would leave that recommendation. But I never bought one for myself because for me, and guys like us, you carry a lot, you shoot a lot. For us, it's mandatory to have a light rail on a gun.
Yep.
So them adding that light rail just in and of itself, for me, is the main thing. I like the other stuff they did with the slide serrations. I think all of that should be standard now. Everyone wants those front slide serrations. Everyone wants aggressive slide serrations.
Yeah.
The design and how it looks, I could take it, I could leave it. I don't really carry a gun because of how it looks, and this is a carry gun. This is not like a safe queen by any means.
And I'm different. I like the way I want guns to look cool, but also I prioritize probably features and specs more, but aesthetics is big for me, for sure. And to be honest, I thought that the Shield Plus looked fine, but it didn't look great. It kind of looked a little bit goofy. The proportions were a little bit like past gen, I guess you could say, like not quite what the new stuff is, kind of a top heavy slide. We were just talking about in the car a minute ago. The Walther PPS M2 is actually the first gun I ever bought, and the first one you bought too, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and that was a good gun. It's fine, reliable, and fine, but it a little bit goofy looking, and from like the 2010s ish, just like kind of past gen. And the Shield Plus sort of looked that way with me, especially with the Performance Center versions. They had like fiber optic sights and stuff, which on a carry gun I'm kind of like, what are we doing? It's just a little bit. It seems like Smith & Wesson. So this is a rumor, and I don't know if it's true or not, but the rumor mill is saying that Smith & Wesson got a new like director of, market direction or whatever that's called. Basically, someone new is heading up the company in which way they're going to be going from now on. And ever since that allegedly happened, the Bodyguard 2.0 comes out, the Shield X comes out, the new Smith & Wesson, I think it's the Sport 3 Axe rifle comes out. So like these guns that have more modern takes, more features that people actually care about these days, start coming out. So hopefully it's like that's true. But the Shield X is what it looks like to me is a pretty much a like magnified version of the Bodyguard 2.0. And in most ways, that's a good thing, I think. But in a couple ways, I still think it could have been done a little bit better. We were talking about the grip texture is a big one. They have good texture on the front and back, which is great, but they don't have any texture at all on the sides of the grip, which for carry is probably super duper comfortable. But as far as like actually shooting the gun, I would have liked to see just like a little bit, just a tiny bit of texture on the left and right side, just to have something. And we were saying a minute ago that people nowadays, you can go ahead and say if you know what point I'm talking about.
In our conversation, we talked about how I don't think Smith & Wesson understands that people are now shooting their smaller guns more often. Once we got into these like double stacked micro compacts, people, and especially when the capacity got up to like 15 and 17 rounds, people actually started shooting these more in competitions at the range.
Just casually actually shooting the gun.
Yeah, casually actually shooting this as though it's a full-size gun, because the performance has become so close to those full-size guns.
Yeah.
That why not just shoot your carry gun more often?
And what gun did you say started that?
I believe I said the X Macro. You got that full-size grip on there. It's a lighter, smaller slide, but really in performance, it's so close. It's a different recoil impulse, but I wouldn't even say it's got more recoil than like your full-size double-stack handguns.
Well, and the thing is the X Macro has greater capacity than like a Glock 19. So even in capacity, it was just as shootable as far as like capability. But there are, a couple of inherent downsides as far as like, shooting characteristics and slide velocity and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was one thing that I think is a we haven't held the gun yet. We will soon. We're looking to get one for you guys to do a review on as quickly as possible. But that is one downside I can already see, is it likely is not going to have quite enough texture, especially like here in Texas, it's 100 and bejesus degrees outside. And when your hands start sweating, that's going to be kind of frustrating. I can kind of tell that. The slide serrations, though, look wonderful. They look great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Did a good job.
Sights look good.
Slide serrations look great. And
yeah.
Copied that and looks awesome.
So real quick, let's talk about the magazines before you got to go. The Shield X does not use, it uses the same magazine body as the extended magazines on the Shield Plus. However, you can't use them directly with each other. You have to replace the base plate with the Shield X base plate versus the Shield Plus base plate. So they are kind of compatible, but not quite. And we were just talking about how that could have been easily avoided, if you want to cover that.
Yeah, and they could have gone two different routes. Either A, they could have just made it take the same magazine, which maybe that's what a lot of customers would want. However, there is enough changes in this gun that I think they might as well have just dropped the old Shield Plus magazines, redesigned a mag. I think that had they been able to get like SIG's P365 X Macro platform, like that size of magazine with a similar capacity, I think it would then put it in a place where it could beat SIG. Right now, everyone's already upset at SIG. They did a good job of their timing on the release.
Yeah, whether they did it on purpose or not.
Yeah, that's a good question. But if they could have got their mag capacity on par with SIG, with this price, there would have been no reason for anyone to not trade in that SIG for this Shield Plus. And so I think they could have gone with like a full, because the way they Shield mags are, they taper. The Shield Plus and the Shield X, they taper at the top so much that it feeds.
There's like two rounds or single stack.
Yeah, and it looks like they could have squeezed in a couple extra rounds in there.
Okay.
Just by changing up the geometry.
So what I think is, I'm going to go along with it. I think that's true. I think that they could have tapered those magazines out a little bit and done a more, which the problem is maybe SIG has a patent on that design or something, maybe, who knows. But if you kind of widen that mouth of the magazine, probably could have got at least one more in there. And then it's 14+1 flush versus 13+1. And that's not too bad, compared to the other big guys, because the Shield X is much thinner than an X Macro. So in my opinion, even going from my X Macro to my CR920 XP, the difference in width is what made that gun feel way more carryable than my SIG. It wasn't slide length, it wasn't grip length, it was the width. So I think the Shield X, I think it's going to be a good proportions for carry, but I wish they would have gotten rid of that little nub in the back of the grip at the bottom. And instead of having the magazines integrate with this little like nub in the back, just gone with a more traditional flat bottomed open magwell area, and then redesign their magazines to have a flat normal base plate, and basically set the gun up to know that people are going to carry this and want to modify it and put magwells on there and things like that, because right now it's going to be tough. Just like the M&P 2.0, the magazine base plate is part of the grip, and that causes problems when you want to do any kind of upgrades at all. So I think that's kind of a miss, but
I don't think anyone likes base plates that you're gripping. I think people want a base plate to just hold the bottom of the mag, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So those are probably the two. Those are the only two drawbacks I can think of really with the Shield X. I really don't think there's anything else. Iron sights look good. OptiCut is great. Now it has a light rail. That's huge. I carry lights because most violent encounters happen at night. I know they do for you. And I mean, you work at night, so it's going to happen. But
Yep.
so I light rail is great. That is the one reason I didn't buy a shield, and that's the one. I've had hundreds of comments of guys saying I didn't buy a shield for this reason. So glad they fixed that. Last thing before you go, I was going to say, carry comp. We know they're going to come out with a carry comp version. My hope is that they do not extend the barrel in order to put a port in the front of it and cause it to be like a fuse, like a 365 fuse length slide, because that's just too long. And in comparison to the X Macro and the 365, I think the fuse in models like volume sold has kind of been a flop for SIG, and I do not think it would be beneficial for Smith & Wesson to do that either. I just don't like the Shield Plus carry comp is super long. It is way too long. And that was because of the design is a little different with the barrel, had to be a little bit shorter. I get that. On the Shield X, I really hope they don't extend the barrel and slide and cause even more weight up top, and they just move the front sight back, put a hole in the top of the slide, and call it a day. That would be the best. And maybe with the carry comp, they put some texture on the side and kind of use it as a chance to sort of fix the small gripes people have with this new one. So maybe that'll happen. But
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. I have got to go, but I think all those things are true. We'll see what happens with this new release.
all right, guys. So those are the thoughts from me and Mr. Mystery Man here. But yeah, overall, I'm really impressed with the Shield X. I think it is a huge step forward for SIG. Not SIG. I think it's a huge step forward for Smith & Wesson. I think it's what they needed to do. I really hope that this new direction that they have going on with just modernizing their pistols and listening to, I don't even want to say professionals, because probably the most people buying M&Ps and buying Smith & Wessons are consumers like us, right? Competitive shooters and hobbyists and YouTubers or whatever, like stuff like that. So if they keep listening to us and making these pistols based off the obvious requests and repeated requests of the consumer, I think they're going to do good. And whatever, if it's true that somebody else is running the company or they hired somebody else to kind of direct the future of Smith & Wesson as far as their models go, if that's true, he's doing a good job. Real quick, I do want to talk about the launch. It was very strange. I don't know who the hell is in charge of this, but so yesterday I'm driving home from work and I get a random notification on my phone from the Gap Man about this new Smith & Wesson. Immediately, I really root for Smith & Wesson. I shoot their guns a lot. Their M&P metal I've had for a very long time. Excellent shooting gun. I've beat the piss out of that gun. Fully reliable, 100% good to go. Awesome gun, right? Great gun. I really root for Smith & Wesson a lot. I have a strange bias towards them, if I'm honest, and I just want to see them do well, right? This is something that did not do well. For some reason, the Gap Man posted a video announcing this new Smith & Wesson, that he had made the video at a range day that he was invited out to by Smith & Wesson. So that leads me to believe that there were other creators there making videos about all these different guns. They had a whole month where they're launching 10 different guns, right, here in July. He was the only one. So the only guy to post a video on this brand new gun, this massive release, is one singular guy. And normally it would be under an embargo, and there would be 50 videos from Grand Thumb and Administrative Results and Micah Mayfield and RDR Gear, and all these different creators would have the gun for a couple months, get to use it, test it, make videos on it, and they all post them at the exact same time. Some guys have a problem with that. I understand that. I don't mind it. I like it, and I understand the idea. I get why they do it. But this time, there's one video. And not saying the video is bad, right, by any means. The Gap Man did a great job of explaining it, and then he made another video comparing it to other different pistols in its class and size and things like that, which is great. I'll link both of those videos down below because they're super helpful right now because there's nothing else. But for some reason, there are no more videos than just his. And his video alone, just by the nature of the algorithm, can't capture all the viewers that would be interested in something like this, right? His video is probably at 50,000 views right now. If they had given it to 10 other creators, all those videos would be at 50,000 views. Now we're at 5,000, 500,000, 50,000. views about the pistol, allowing it to launch appropriately and effectively, right? So I don't know who in the world was like, hey, like I can't even explain it. I don't know who allowed this to happen. I just really think it's a big miss in the marketing department. Not saying the gun's not good, but this marketing was just not great, man. And I really hope it wasn't on purpose. I really hope it wasn't on purpose and it was a mistake by some chance. The other thing that I had talked about with my buddy that was just on the phone with me is the trigger guard. So the Smith & Wesson X now has the Shield X now has a squared off trigger guard. So I like that. I think it makes the gun look a little bit more serious, makes it look a little bit less like, you know, super curvy and contoured towards carry or whatever. And also it is something that is really useful when you're putting lights on the gun, right? Now they finally, dear God, after years and years and years, put a light rail on the Shield, which is great. And they changed the trigger guard. Now that means that your Shield holsters will no longer work with your Shield X, your Shield Plus to your Shield X. I don't mind that. I understand that some people are going to be annoyed and frustrated about that. I totally get that, just like with the magazines. But hear me out. Here's my perspective. I really think that if Smith & Wesson is dedicated to this new generation of the Shield, they should fully invest in this new platform, okay? And they should tone it back on the Shield Pluses. Now, hear me out. That's a kind of a hot take. If they are going to launch this new pistol and put all this money into this new pistol, right? And they're going to make the magazines not compatible, but kinda. And they're going to make the holsters not compatible because of the trigger guard. And they're going to make it have a light rail. And they're going to change it in so many ways to where it's just different enough. I think it would be worth it to fully dedicate holster development, reach out to holster companies to get them set up with blue guns or whatever it is to make holsters. Make sure those companies are making holsters for the most common lights in the segment that fit on those types of guns. Stuff like the TLR7, TLR7 Sub, Sub HLX, X, all the different, TLR7s, the new Streamlight models that are, copies or fit in the same holsters as the TLR7 Sub. Fully dedicate resources and time into setting up this gun to be as successful as possible and slowly pull away from the Shield Plus. I really, really, really feel like that needs to be done. Not saying the Shield Plus is a bad gun, because it's not, but Smith & Wesson took a big jump to put out this new pistol, and it still feels like they're dipping their toes in the old Shield Plus realm when they could have just fully dedicated and said, hey, we're done with the Shield Plus. We made some mistakes. We didn't change it. It's an old platform. We got to change it. We did. Boom. Here it is. Here's all the holsters, all the lights. Here's carry cop models. Here's standard models. Here's longer slide models. Whatever it is, like new magazines that you can buy magwells and they'll fit into a magwell easily. You're not going to pinch your hands. You're not going to use these little dumb magazine sleeves like they do now. Stuff like that. I really think they need to fully dive into this new platform for this to be a serious contender in the carry market. Not saying it can't get there already, but it would be a guaranteed win for Smith & Wesson if they did fully dedicate to this new platform. I firmly believe that. That's what I hear from all the guys that I talk to about this stuff. That's what I think. Those are my thoughts. I'm really excited. Regardless of the few drawbacks I can kind of already see on the new Shield, I really think like it's a big win for them, and I'm happy they did it. So tell me what you guys think about the Shield X, Smith & Wesson M&P Shield X in the comments. What are your thoughts? Is it going to replace your carry gun? I'm going to be honest. It might replace mine. It may, well, I can't say it'll replace it. It will. I'm going to buy one for sure. I'm going to buy one. I'm going to support Smith & Wesson in this process. I'm going to carry it. I know my buddy's going to buy one as well. We're going to do some comparisons, some durability tests, some optics testing, different stuff like that. I am bought in to the hype. I'll be honest. I'm fully bought into the hype, right? But I really love my shadow systems. So it may not be fully integrated into my carry every single day. Plus, there's no holsters available for it yet. That's another big thing I was going to talk about. No holsters. That's sad. But I do think it is worthy of taking the spot in my carry rotation for sure. So let me know, what do you guys think? Is this going to be a new carry gun for you? Are you interested in this thing in the first place at all? Do you think Smith & Wesson made another miss? Do you think it's a hit? Do we like it? Do we not like it? What do we think? comment down below. Sorry this video is not kind of like well produced and everything. I just wanted to, you know, get on a quick call with my buddy before he went to work and talk about something that we're super stoked to talk about. It's something that we're passionate about. I just wanted to get it up out there as fast as I could. Plus, there's really, like, aside from the Gatman's 2 videos and 1 marketing video that Smith & Wesson put out, there is nothing on this gun. As of right now, you know, Wednesday, July 30th at 5:08, there's nothing at all. So as much information as I can get on the Shield X, I will. I'm going to put up some overlays of dimensions, things like that. As soon as we get it in our hand, we will be comparing it to the Canik MC9 Prime, 6-hour P365X macro comped and standard non-comped. We're going to compare it to the Shadow System CR920 XP, and a few other things, different guns. So thank you guys so much for subscribing, for liking, support the channel any way you can. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, on X, whatever. I'm having a blast doing this stuff. We're going to keep going, and until the next time, and hopefully soon we get this thing in our hands, but until the next time, talk less, shoot more. Peace.